What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video.
I rep the West to the death, but my life is better. I've shed blood, shed tears, man, I stormed bad weather. I caught an L at 19, that's a cold-ass letter. But now I'm back in the world and trying to make it better forever. They counted me out at a young age, but now I'm living proof. I'm in this booth, I'm spitting truth, you see me on the tube. The Dub Show, homies bounce and roll. The Dub Show.
Today, when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, something that stuck in my mind was a live that was sent to me last night. I watched a little bit of it last night, and then I watched some of it this morning. And I'm not going to say the individual's name. It's somebody that supposedly did, a decade in prison. And the vast majority of his time was out of state, right? And what he had to say just made me think of a lot of people on YouTube that, right? I'm going to take that back. Some of the people on YouTube that they sensationalize prison through stuff by saying stuff that anyone that has been incarcerated within the California Department of Corrections knows is straight up lies. And I trip out because these are individuals that try to portray themselves as confident men, self-assured men, strong-minded men. And yet they're telling lies that, again, anyone who's done time in the California Department of Corrections knows, and that's some bullshit right there. I'm stuck in the prison genre. I've never considered myself a prison channel. And a lot of people for a long time have always said, well, that's all you talk about is prison. Well, I talk about my life experiences. And I try to provide examples. I try to provide glimpses into my life experiences so that other people won't want to fall in that same pattern of living, get caught up in that lifestyle, right? So, I've said, if I would have stayed on the streets and became a carpenter and started a channel, my channel would be about that. Unfortunately, I started going to jail at 13. By 15, I was doing state time in the California Youth Authority, right? I have never told a story about my prison experience where I've had to add salsa to the tacos. The story is the story. I tell what I'm comfortable telling, right? I can only tell the stories within my comfort zone. But when I hear people like, look, I'm going to give one of the examples. This individual who claims to have done all this time said that he's seen dudes get hit, and when they're getting stabbed, they got stabbed so many times that they threw themselves on the barbed wire. Okay, first of all, what was that going to do? If somebody threw themselves on some barbed wire, how does that make what's happening to you better? That's the first thing, right? Second of all, anybody that's been on a prison yard in California, can you please tell me where the barbed wire is? Like, can somebody tell me where on the yard is the barbed wire that somebody would be able to throw themselves into? Barbed wire doesn't even exist in the CDC. Razor wire does, but I'm sure that's what he meant, right? That's on top of the fences. And then on the perimeter, they have like layers of it. You can't get to that. So where does that happen? But they tell these stories, man, and you know, I don't know if it's to scare people or to impress people that, damn, this dude's really been through some stuff. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around adding salsa to your tacos like that. Like, it's literally a joke. Today I was gonna go back to, you know, telling a prison story, and like I said, I just can't get out of my head these guys that get on YouTube and just blatantly lie about how they did time in prison. And what trips me out is the guys that do it, these men, they have a story, man. I know that the guys that do this, they were never on level 4s. And it seems like it's like a complex they have, that because they didn't go to a level 4 yard, they have to add a whole bunch of other stuff. The vast majority of people in the California Department of Corrections don't go to a level 4. That's a bigger story. They've heard about the level 4s enough. So if these guys would just tell the truth, be genuine with their story and their incarceration and how they were able to, you know, become better men and get out and do whatever they do out here, that's a better story and a bigger story than lying about. And can I just say one other thing before I go? It's always the guys that got sent out of state, Arizona and Mississippi and all this stuff. They tell these stories when all of us that were busted in California know, if you were putting in any work, you don't get rewarded and go out of state and get to play Xbox and do all that stuff. You stay here. And if you're over there and you're fucking up, you get sent right back over here. You don't get moved to another out of state and get another Xbox and PlayStation and all that. It's always these guys that did their out of state time. You know, because for those of you that don't know, about 15 years ago, the CDC was so overpopulated. I think they had over 130,000 inmates. What they did, because of lawsuits that were filed due to overcrowding and cruel and unusual punishment and, you know, a bunch of stuff, the CDC started transferring a lot of their inmates to private prisons out of state. I know they had Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Arizona. I think those are the 3 states that they were sending people to. And they were trying to do that in order to keep as many inmates rather than release people, let people go, people that were nonviolent. They didn't want to do that. But the federal court stepped in and said, the courts basically said, I know about all these people you're sending out of state, cease and desist immediately, or the feds are taking over. And that scared the CDC. You know why? If the feds take over the California Department of Corrections, COs don't get paid what they get paid now. Federal COs don't get paid what California COs get paid. That would have dropped immediately. And a whole bunch of other stuff would have changed. They actually might have been audited. And then the fun would have really began. But anyways, that's my video for today, man. I know I'm going to probably have to do another one, but it was just on my mind. It's something that trips me out. Why do people think they got to change their story in order to seem tougher or in order to seem like their experience was just as rough as a level 4? Fuck, you don't need to be on a level 4. Prison is bad enough, man. It's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.